Good morning. I'm John Tracy, and I'm here at the historic Tracy Ranch. It's June 17th, 2009. The sun has risen on another glorious day here, as it has for 147 years in this family business. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing my aunt, Martha Tracy Frey. At 94 years old, she's the last of her generation, and she's here to share some of her memories of the ranch.
Was Grandpa home every night?
Oh, yes. I believe he was. It would be a rare occasion that he wasn't. The families did not go places like they do now.
Now, how were your parents? Were they very strict or liberal?
Very liberal. Very liberal. Easygoing. They were a very happy couple. I never heard any fighting between them while I was growing up. My father had to be pretty good-natured to live with my mother because she was so creative and had always having new ideas, like 100 ostriches to mix with his cattle.
A lot of families have started out together with their operations and eventually split things up. What do you think has held this family together?
Maybe their good nature, I don't know. Maybe my father's good nature and just patient, hard-working people that went through the depression along with everybody else and raised 6 children.
Did you have artesian water here when you were young?
Yes, I believe we did. That was a very familiar sound. Artesian wells were used and they were very important.
Mama, did you have running water in the house when you were a child?
Well, somewhere along the line we did, but I don't know. I don't remember.
Can you remember ever having a hand pump in the
Oh,
house?
yes. On the back porch there was a large sink, wooden sink, and a hand pump. And that's how we got our water, was by pumping it into the...
Do you remember you always had light bulbs when you were a child, or did you?
Oh, no, we had lamps. We had lamps with chimneys, and those chimneys would get smoked up, and we'd have to clean the chimneys, and then there was some kind of a fuel, gasoline or something in the lower part of it that fueled the flame.
How did you keep your meat and your vegetables cool?
Daddy had an ice house, but when my father butchered, he usually would share some of the meat with his neighbors because you couldn't hold meat that long.
Do you remember mosquitoes?
Oh, how could you forget? We had plenty of them. It's a wonder we all didn't die.
How did you deal with them?
You just slapped and scratched.
It always seemed like when Grandma had a project or was going to send you girls to
Oh,
school,
yes,
she
my
came up with
mother
the
was
money.
a very active person and a very creative person. Who else would have thought of having 100 ostriches on the farm? And as I said before, they did not mix well with my father's cat. Story went.
Well, one final question from me, and we'll turn it over. As a youngster growing up on the ranch, the last thing you wanted to do was come back to the ranch, and then
Yes.
you married a farmer.
I had nothing, no memories except hard times. And so I was not excited about coming back here. Jack, on the other hand, was gung-ho to get here. He had gone to Davis School of Agriculture, so apparently he had shown an early interest in farming because that's where he went to school.
Well, didn't you get upset with Dad when you had a new baby and he was running up here to help on the ranch?
Yes, when you were born. My mother, all the time, and I didn't know it, but every time she'd see Jack, she would suggest that he come and farm. And I didn't know anything about it. But apparently every time they got together, she'd give a little pep talk. I didn't know a thing about it. And so finally here we were, packed bag and baggage, coming back to this damned old ranch.